Thanks, everybody. Are we live yet, Dave? Are we live?
We're live.
No, we're not. We've got another few minutes. We can still carry on bitching about you.
Right, great. Give me a second, because I've picked the wrong thing. Totally thought it was set up. Not set up. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Pigsty tonight. Tonight, what we are going to do, once I eventually figure out everything here and get it going properly, is we are going to have a chat. I don't know if anyone has been here and has heard me mention this before, but it's going to be rules for society. Rules for a future society. Population's very low. How do we move forward? How do we go forward from that? Yeah, so that's where we're going. Dave, would you like to tell me how I'm wrong for 3 minutes while I fix the screen?
You haven't told me. You need to tell me what. You got to give me something to tell you you're wrong about.
Right. Well, the idea is that very low population, right? Infrastructure's still there, so the buildings and stuff are still there, right? Well, whatever way you want to wipe the population down, we'll wipe the population down to what, say, 3 million people?
Half a million.
500,000, right? So with 500,000,
do we get to discuss how?
500,000 worldwide.
By what delimiter?
Mr. Worldwide?
random thing, yeah. We'll go with random disease.
Yeah.
Wiped out a load of people.
Okay.
We have a pandemic, and it wipes out the majority of the world's population.
Okay. Isn't that the plot of V for Vendetta?
I'm still not got around to seeing that film.
Really?
They invented disease so they could invent a cure so that they could take over the British government. That's the basic plot of the film. And then some guy in a Guy Fawkes mask tries to incite a revolution to bring things back to a people's social order.
Fair enough. Then maybe. So the point is, we get the population down to 500,000 people. We will assume that these people then get relatively close to each other. Pick a continent if you want, middle of Europe, middle of America, doesn't really matter.
Yeah, we went for mean America because American can cover an awful lot. You know,
Yeah.
like climate-wise, you know, it's a big enough country. There's no point in picking England, you know, because it'd be shit for like the whole. No, go somewhere where there's a cross section of, you know, different climates and things like that.
You mean just the island of Britain? I mean, that's barely more than Rhode Island and New Jersey put together.
Exactly, it's not big enough. That was my point. So, Cameron 9. I think we're fixed now. And we have Phoebe back. There we go.
We're sorry you died in the plague.
Phoebe, seeing as you missed it, and now that everything looks okay and half decent, we can actually continue on. But yes, Phoebe's here. Thank you for coming, Phoebe. Can you hear us?
She frozen?
They froze. They joined and then they froze. We've been talking to nobody. It's just technical difficulties after technical difficulties tonight. Isn't it wonderful? So yeah, that's the basic premise. And it's going to cover, like, what way do you, is everybody, right, say for talk's sake, we'll start with this. Population moving forward. What if we got, Dave, 500,000 people, yeah? Right.
Where are the people?
500,000 people stuck in America. Right?
Okay.
Big island, covers everything, left to right, you can go up and down. There's loads of places you can walk, right? So you don't have to get cars if we run out of diesel. Population going forward. Are we encouraging everybody to just have as many babies as possible and we throw contraception out the window? Dave?
Never.
Nicola? No? Anybody?
I think 500,000 people. I don't think you need to. I mean, it depends on, again, these are the rules you need for it. If you can encourage it through the rules of your society. I think once you get to a more, are you going to give up on the sort of housing we have now first?
But what do you mean by that? You're crackling like crazy, Dave.
Am I?
I can hear him, but I'm not sure about anybody else.
I'm not sure if it's a rule that, I mean,
you would even really have to set, because I think naturally in that situation, people are going to be reproducing as much as possible.
Going forward with that, then, say for talk's sake, do we genetically mark all the kids? Like, would we take a wee drop of their blood so we now have all their information on? How would you feel about that?
What would be the use of it?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Tracking, medical checks. You know, you could go to
To make sure only healthy kids are born? Is that
No. The
idea?
kid's born, right? Kid's born.
Okay.
Kid's born, right? And you take a wee drop off its blood and you put it in and you run it through a tester to see if is there a chance that this has a possibility of this? Is there a leaning towards a bad heart or something like that? Then from the get-go, you know, okay, this person's going to have a bad heart. We then look after it, or we can focus on it, or...
That moves into the territory of eugenics a little bit.
Stealing it from Gattaca completely. Like.
Yeah, Gattaca, exactly what I thought. So I have a connective tissues disorder. It's called Loeys-Dietz syndrome. It's a lot like Marfan syndrome, if anybody's heard of that, or Ehlers-Danlos is a far worse condition than Marfan's. I have made a decision to not have children. Because it's a genetic disorder.
Mm-hmm.
That means I can pass it on to my children. I lost my dad when I was 8 to the same condition. Of 10 people in my family that have been afflicted, I'm the only one left alive. Both my grandparents, my dad, both of his brothers, my sister, one of my brothers, all gone. I'm the only one that's left. I've made a choice myself to not pass that genetic defect on to children that I might then pass away and not be around to support.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a personal decision that I made. I don't feel comfortable with the state imposing some sort of structure protocol like that. Does
well,
that
that
make
would
sense?
be, you know, if you were genetic, we could hopefully go down the route. Would you be happy enough with genetically removing and using CRISPR, say for talk's sake, to remove that from your DNA if your parents then were pregnant? If that was possible, to remove that from your DNA?
If it were possible, yes. On a voluntary basis, though, right? Like, I think that it should be... I think that it should be up to the patient whether or not they want to undergo.
No, but I mean in the womb. Your parents, like you knowing that you have this genetic disorder, you would obviously want it removed. Would you go so far as to have all babies then checked? Because you know for a fact that you have this genetic condition, but there's genetic conditions out there that people don't know that they have.
I think the way that currently things are run with other conditions like Huntington's, etc., that you can test for genetically. The only solution that I'm aware of that is effective is informing the parent prenatally so that they can elect to terminate or not terminate. I haven't seen very much success with anybody who's tried to use CRISPR or any other similar.
Well, ethically,
technique.
I don't think they've actually allowed it to, you know, to try. Dave, you would know more on this topic. You know, I don't think there's been many experiments on human embryos that have been allowed to go, you know, maybe a week or so or whatever. They don't go past a term or whatever, but there hasn't been obviously long-term studies in this due to the ethics of it.
I'm not sure if with the population of 500,000, I'm not sure we need to worry so much about the population.
So we're not going to worry about genetic disorders. We now can start afresh, and anybody who has survived that has a genetic sort of disorder, something similar to what Nicola has, couldn't come forward and go, I want this wiped, let's get rid of it.
But I don't think you want to. At the point at which you've died out from a disease as a population, I think as much genetic variation as you possibly can have is probably a good thing. At the end of the day, you don't know where a random genetic mutation now is going to be in 500 years, in multiple generations' time. So I think trying to be picky at this point, especially with our level of understanding, I think trying to be picky is dangerous.
What do you mean by trying to be picky?
Trying to exclude certain conditions.
Oh, sure. Okay, I understand.
My knees are buggered, and that's based on a genetic defect. But it also gives me very, very flexible knees, right? Now, carry on evolving that in 500 years, in 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 generations, that might be something significant that gives us the edge for the next disease. Or the sharks that grow legs and run faster than us.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was it, that episode of Star Trek? I know Star Trek is a TV show, right? But that episode where Geordi had the visor and they went to that planet.
That was the movie. That was the movie that had the high concentration in the rings that helped with the healing.
Was it the movie? All that I remember is Geordi talking to the woman. They ran a eugenic society, and they didn't have blindness. They didn't have any defects at all because they worked them out. And Geordi
That's a different one. Yes, I remember this episode.
I've fixed your problem with your son because of technology that I learned to use because of my visor. So the inspiration of that comes from these imperfections. I know that's kind of a crude and weird example of that, but
no, yeah, I remember the episode. I jumped in too soon and was thinking of the movie, but yes, yeah, I remember that episode. It was a complete. Everybody knew from birth what they were going to be. They were told their job at birth as well. So you're going to be the leader of the society. You're going to be a scientist. You're going to be the physicist. They were told that and trained that direction as well.
Yeah.
From birth, like.
Very Gattaca-like.
Mm-hmm. Education-wise, what everybody knows that I have a problem with education. Would anybody like to jump in on what they think education-wise? Should we let kids go to school and play till they're 4? Should we start teaching them at a very young age? Technology, should we give it to them early?
The problem I have with the education system as it currently sits is it's genericized and about 1,000 years out of date. Okay, 1,000 years is a little extreme, but it is out of date.
Industrial age,
learning
I think it
by
was
rote
invented.
Doesn't work for everybody. For example, I am a fairly intelligent human being, I like to think, but I can't sit there and read a passage in the same amount of time it would take the rest of you to read a passage, because one of the issues that comes along with being autistic for me is I have a reading speed in the bottom 5%. So I can sit there and I can talk like this all day long. I can stand up and do a presentation all day long. Mm-hmm. But if you sit me in an exam, you have to give me 50% more time than everybody else, just to be able to read the damn questions.
Mm-hmm. I think if you've got a population down to 500,000, schooling becomes very different.
Yeah.
What is this 500,000? What is this 500,000?
Well, I was going for 3 million, but it's just a pure random number of it. It's just an arbitrary number. It could be 1 million. It could be 500. It's arbitrary. There's nothing behind it. Just this is the amount of people that has survived after whatever happened. Which we were going to say something else, but we can't say now because they're very picky about it on YouTube.
Oh, you mean
that thing?
Current world situation?
Yes.
That thing, yeah.
The current world situation, which caused the delay to the Tokyo Olympics.
No, we're not going to worry about the fucking Olympics, all right? You asked about 500,000 people. That's just an arbitrary number. Dave, you were saying about the education system, or Phoebe, sorry.
Yeah, I was saying about the education system insofar as if you've got down to a population of 500,000 or to a much smaller level than you have now, you can individualize the education system a lot more. Yes, okay, you'll need to have some basics. You'll need to have literacy, numeracy, etc. amongst your population. Mm-hmm. But the way you then go and teach some of the higher end stuff, like when I was doing chemistry at A-level, I couldn't stand sitting there being lectured at. You gave me a test tube, a Bunsen burner, and a fume cupboard, I was the best person in the class.
At making bombs? No? Is that just a Northern Ireland thing?
This is not Northern Ireland.
Okay.
This is...
Sorry, go on.
Worryingly, I do know how to do that, but then anybody with GCSE chemistry in the UK knows how to do that.
And some more.
I was going to say, anyone that's my age has got a copy of a certain book. So.
Yes, that book had everything in it. The original one. Not this fucking...
I've got half a dozen.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yes, if you're down to these levels of doing things, you won't have the same need for quote-unquote mass education. Because if you're down to 500,000 people, how many of those people are going to be of what we would consider today schooling age? Maybe
the problem
80,000?
the problem I was thinking is who's going to teach the kids?
A teacher.
Yeah. Okay, so there's automatically going to be... We're just assuming that these people have just...
Hang on. You're assuming that you need to have that kind of formalized teacher role.
Yeah. This is what I was about to ask, right? Are you happy with going down, right? There's a teacher teaching someone. Does it must be a human? There is trials going on at the minute.
You're missing that. You're going down a wrong route here.
It's the question I was asking.
Yeah, it's not whether it's a human or whether it's a non-human. I'm saying you don't have a singular teacher. You have the society itself. And then the person with that skill teaches those who are wanting to learn that skill.
This is what I was saying.
In an individualized manner.
And say for talk's sake that person that needs to teach that doesn't exist. They've died off.
Then the skill won't exist.
Pardon?
Do we have the internet?
Yes.
Do we have the current stored knowledge?
Yes, but the problem is, Dave, is trying to get that across. I think there's been 2 studies done or 2 trials done with Google and maybe Apple as well have tried this, and the kids just turn out stupider.
Sorry, you're going to have to take a couple of steps back there because you've jumped a few to get to Google and stuff have done studies. What studies?
They've done trials. They've actually tried this out where they have replaced the teacher with a digital format.
No, that doesn't work.
And it doesn't work.
You need both.
Yes, that's what
I'm not talking about you to replace it with a digital where this child teaches themselves. I wouldn't want somebody who is a self-taught electrician only coming around to my house and saying, well, I learnt this in my back garden from YouTube. And I wouldn't be that comfortable with that person wiring my house up to the mains.
You sure? Dan me's really good at it. We are really good at doing it. Neither one of us have a degree in it. But you know.
I don't mind a self-taught person doing the electrics. I do object to a self-taught doctor.
Yes.
I do object to a self-taught dentist as well.
So more than who, I'm concerned with what is being taught, right? So like even currently, as the world exists right now, I feel that I'm not the only one that's saying this, but there's a lack of critical thinking education in the school system now. I think that including some of that in the base curriculum would eliminate a lot of the problems that we have in greater society in the way of MLMs, cult-like mindsets, snake oil schemes, etc.
Teach them to think at a young age. Teach them to be aware. You know.
The other thing that needs to be ditched is teaching to tests.
Yeah.
That has to go in the bin.
With that smaller population, you wouldn't need to.
Yes, but you would have to ensure that was ditched and never came back and never saw the light of day again.
It has to come back eventually. Society needs it. I mean, the test, it doesn't. It needs tests, is the point.
The way tests are done in schools today are some of the least productive ways of teaching children.
No, I completely agree with you, but
mathematics exams are ridiculously stupid. English literature exams take all the life out of literature. I've only started to understand the play Death of a Salesman 15 years after I read it.
I failed English at GCSE, mostly because I wasn't at school, right? But we read Romeo and Juliet, and I didn't understand any of the nuance, anything about it. And as part of my computing in college, I had to have English, my English GCSE.
Yeah.
So I resat it, and we did Julius Caesar, and how they taught it was fantastic. Breezed through it, passed no problem.
Yeah.
How
This
it was
is the-
taught in school
this is
and
the
how
issue.
it's taught is completely
This is
different.
the issue, is that you don't actually teach children how to learn anymore. And that needs to
all
be brought
remember.
back in. It's not even how to remember. It's how to regurgitate specific sentences and specific answers that get you the tick box. I was told that the answer I had given on a test was the right answer, but could not be credited because it didn't contain the magic word.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I've called the testing system over here educational bulimia. You just take it in and you vomit the answer back up again and then you forget
It's
about it.
educational bulimia and knowledge anorexia.
Do you think, how much knowledge do you think we can do away with now that we have instant access? I don't mean...
Well, none.
Right, well, are you trying to say that should we specialise at a younger age?
No, what I'm trying to say is there a benefit that everybody knows all the history of the battles of England?
Yes.
What?
You have to understand the context of your own country to be able to develop your own society in a meaningful way. The problems that we've got, particularly in the United States, is that there is a selective teaching of selective parts of American history in a very biased manner, which is leading to a lot of societal problems in the United States.
But you can't deny that that works, or is working to reach their aim.
What's the value
but what-
of Paul Bunyan in Midwestern education?
But the thing that you have to do is that but being ignorant of history is some of the most dangerous things you can do. Just look at the problem that...
Yeah, we all agree with that statement. But Dave's talking about...
But what Dave is saying is that we should be selective about it. I'd say, no, you go the other way.
She did warn me.
teach it all.
She was putting her
No,
libertarian
you
hat on tonight, Dave.
misunderstand me. You misunderstand me, I think, slightly. I'm saying, do we need? There is an awful lot of information. There is an awful lot of facts and figures now that we do not need to remember. That is available online, and you can make it available as a better resource. Where we should be teaching people how to find that information and understand.
And that was my original point. You should be teaching children how to learn.
Right. Rather than teaching them the facts.
So don't
Yes,
remember the day and the date because you can
Yes.
look it up online, but remember the guy that killed the other guy because that's important.
Yes. That's what I'm saying when I say I think there is.
Yeah.
I think there is less.
Which is my original point.
to remember.
I would say it's more like strategy and circumstances that led to.
I'd like to jump in at some point.
Go.
Yeah, man, you'll only get a word in if you shout and scream. It's
I know, right?
Yeah, I figured. So I just took.
You've
the
got
first
Jupiter
pause.
ego here, so guess what?
yeah, she's got her libertarian hat on tonight as well. She warned me before she came in, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I figured.
Looks like Skeleton's
So-
raised his hand.
My biggest concern is and this is coming from a very uneducated opinion, so just want to preface that there are different educational systems in different societies because they have different goals and different aims. So when you take that away and you meld them together because of something that causes an elimination of most of the populace, then you have different surviving members who have different educational aims or goals. So when we're trying to structure the society, what is the goal of the education that we're trying to get to? Because we can come up with a bunch of different methods, but if we don't have a concrete end goal that we all agree on, everybody's going to have several different methods to acquire their individual end goals. And then society as a whole won't be going in the same direction. We'll be going in several thousand directions.
That's
And I don't
Do
know
we
if
need
that's a bad
society
thing.
to go in the same direction?
a fantastic question. It really is. Well, what would be the goal?
No. Yeah, no, and that, I
Yes.
mean, that is a really good point I was going to bring up earlier because I don't know what the society is composed of, but if you have teachers, this is part of their training where like there has to be, and we saw it, I think in the Netherlands, where they were like, okay, this isn't working. What should we do? And they went to the teachers and said, what is it that we need from you? And a lot of what the teachers said are things that you guys are saying right now. It's like it needs to be individual focused. Like we need more time to deal with the children's specific needs. Because even if like everybody's like genius level IQ, they're still going to learn different. And then also there's the goal. A math teacher is going to have a different goal than a history teacher. And then, or a physics teacher, like there needs to be an end. So like, in the United States, we bitch a lot about like how our society wants little worker bees. And it's just like, read this book, take this test, shut up, come every day. Like these are the things that we are,
Well,
what do you call it? Favoring or promoting. But,
right now,
that's
America
our
is just a
goal.
society of consumers.
But when the goal changes, the education looks different. And I'll shut up.
No,
Yes,
totally.
I agree with that.
Brilliant. Absolutely. Two great points. Bouncing off that question, and then what is the goal of society? Like, is it just to make sure that we don't all die out? Is it to better
The thing that
ourselves? Like, how are we going to?
The thing with the society is that society has to direct itself. It has to be self-directed from the centre of itself. You can't come and say we need society like this because then you cause tensions within that society itself. You have to allow the society to organically...
We could easily agree on some things that all society would.
No, I don't think we can. I think that's wishful thinking to say that we can easily agree on something. There are certain
Congress
basics
would differ. In
Well,
their
what
opinion.
basics could we agree on then?
What basics
Well,
could we agree on? Right.
I
Well,
s-
all kids must have an education to a specific set of a level that they can read, they can write, and they have the ability with the information of the internet out there to go, if they wanted to specify or wanted to learn something else, they now have the skills to go forward and do that. That's a basic.
Right. So if we need half our population to work on farmland because we've lost our machinery, why do they need to read and write?
Well,
all
if
they
they
need
want,
is an understanding of how to use money and how to
There
use
is
the
other people,
machinery and
Phoebe.
how to produce food. I know.
Reading and writing is absolutely necessary in finding out which feed bag you're grabbing when you're working on the farm, is it not?
Not if you're being told that. Not if you. I'm not saying that some people wouldn't need to read and write. Right, but without a doubt, some would.
okay,
But
well
this-
then, reading
how
and
you end up with black
reading and
society,
writing is such a basic, such a small, like not small skill, but such a small part of the foundation of everything else that can be learnt at a young age. So, like, teaching at least a minimum of reading and writing. We'll just stay there. We'll not have to go into arithmetic or anything like that. But reading and writing, for the ability and having it all around, even just to look at the internet to educate yourself more on what you're trying to do,
But that doesn't benefit a lot of society.
New feedback, new information, a new technology has been developed by this son of a farmer who decided to not read and write, but go down the physics route, go down the mechanical route, and he's now designed this wonderful new piece of machinery that will halve your labour. So it takes half the time, and you will have more physical time of your own to go and enjoy yourself, educate yourself, and spend time doing
You're
that.
missing the point.
How are
here.
they going to know about that if they don't go and have the ability to read?
They're not. That's the point.
Well, for society as
You're
a
asking
whole.
the society to make decisions for the next generation. Okay.
Well, that man doesn't need to learn about it. Society decides that in 50 years we're now going to implement this machinery across everywhere. And then that guy that doesn't know how to read and write is now told that this is the new machinery, is going to make your life easier. Go and use it.
He wouldn't get it. That's what society does. It's what society has done. Don't forget, for the majority of history, most people have not been able to read and write.
Right, but again, so this is the point of the society as a whole, is to benefit everybody, is the point I'm going for. You're saying that this man and his family...
This is the point where we were discussing what goals to have that we could all agree on. I agree with you on reading and writing, but I'm saying not everyone would. There are people alive now that don't think people should be particularly taught to read and write because they don't need them to work.
Right, and you're pretending to be this person.
Hold on a second.
Right, I'll just say this, right? You're pretending to be this person, and as I said, with the state implementing the machinery in the next generation in 50 years when his son takes over, why would someone disagree? Because that now benefits all of society. We haven't even discussed money yet, whether money even exists anymore. It's, so we're trying to just benefit society ourselves. Like, what other basic goal of trying to make the society better? What other basic goal would you, like, could you disagree in that? Like, as a whole, to make the society better for us as a whole.
What is for people cannot conceive mostly about the entire of society.
I doubt that anybody who has survived, that is left in this 500,000, in this situation, is
Do
going.
you see how many people were protesting in London at the weekend?
Oh, science equals discussion. Slap them. What's peer review paper? Fuck off, like.
So
My point is, you're assuming the best of us. You're not going to get the best of us. You are going to get a mixed bag.
Going to get a mixed bag. I agree with that. But even the mixed bag, do you want to make better food? Do you want to make twice as much food in the same amount of time?
I don't like fish.
I hate fish.
Why should we bother teaching people to fish? Now, even though there are lots of people that do like fish, as far as my society is concerned, I don't think we should teach people to fish.
I agree with that statement.
Well, I like fish. But it's my.
I'll agree with you. We had an argument at work. He put fish in the microwave. Fucking cunt.
So I have a question.
Go.
So under this paradigm, damn, I hate my ADHD. I had a really good question and I think I lost it because we were talking about the different goals. Oh, so now I remember what it was. So societies in some way, shape, or form generally function. So do you think that there is something necessary for the society to function? Because we seem to be disagreeing on if there are basic things that everyone should be taught, but how is the society going to function if there isn't some baseline thing that helps the society in general consistently function and not fall apart into anarchy or chaos or what have you? What would be that thing that keeps the society together and prevents everyone from just snapping, basically?
Go on, shout.
I was waiting on you, Dave.
Cash shouts religion.
I would like. We're gonna. Yeah, I'd say that we'll take into account what we'll give them 5%. Because most people would be agnostic. No?
The church and the crown historically have, and I mean the church, not specific one church, and by the crown I mean not specifically one crown, but these systems have, throughout history, stifled education, stifled reading and writing, stifled mathematics, in order to be able to achieve a sort of social dominance, to be an upper class. And I feel that the exclusion of education in society lends itself to that sort of ignorance.
I completely agree. But the point is that some people want that.
Why? What benefit does that have for society?
Are the ones that are dominating.
Right. What benefit does a few dominating have for society?
Dave, he's directly asking you. Come on, stop thinking about it. Just answer.
No, especially when you are just stepping up with low-level organization, a strict hierarchy can be very efficient. It tends to grow with time, less so.
Crafty, would you like in, Crafty? Tag me if you want in. You're welcome to come in. Knock, feel free to jump in at any time as well.
Well, I think the conversation is kind of centered around, civilization somehow maintaining its current course, but like if you're talking about a breakdown in civilization and you're talking, there's only 500,000 people left that have somehow been able to congregate and be close to each other. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have priorities, and necessarily like a universal education system isn't going to be a priority. Getting the lights back on is. Farming definitely is. If you're talking about a lack of humanity, you're going to have an encroachment of wildlife and predators that you're going to have to be worried about. That's going to have to be a priority. Generations down, once you start regrowing and reproducing the race, you can start thinking about infrastructure and education. But I think in the moment here, your primary thing that you should be thinking about is survival.
Well, can we not do both? Are we incapable as a species to do education and keeping an eye on ourselves at the same time?
Eventually, maybe. But I mean, at first, you're. Like I said, like, are you, somebody asked a question, are you going to have the internet still? And somebody said yes. And I'm like, well, how? You're
Just for
talking
talk's
about
sake, we'll-
500,000 people. It's going to be hard enough to get the lights back on,
Nuclear
much less
power
try to
plant.
get some web up.
We'll
You
say
know
we've
what I'm
got
saying?
a nuclear power plant outside the city. We've whacked it up, and Dave said
I wouldn't go that way. Don't go that way. Go with we've moved by Hoover Dam.
instantly. Okay, we'll go by Hoover Dam, right? We'll move by Hoover Dam then, right? You know. So
Go with something that doesn't need quite so much maintenance.
Something that we,
You know,
maybe
I think reading and writing can be taught in the home. You know, parents can do that as you're going, but fundamentally, you know, if somebody, I think like advanced learning at the very beginning, especially, is going to be something rare. If somebody has the aptitude for it, they'll prop them up and they'll give them some training. But I think overall, society's going to be worried about survival.
So levels of education, yes, there is absolutely a conversation in that, but education at all, I'm going to give you a lot of strong pushback, because there needs to be at least some, not even necessarily social education, but even like you were saying, like out of the family, there needs to be some sort of passing of
Oh yeah, I would agree. I think priority in society should be trying to maintain some level of knowledge for sure. You definitely don't want to go back to the dark ages in the next couple generations.
Right.
So definitely I would agree, but I think it would be more at first, at least, parent responsibility, teaching their children what they need to know, and then as we start reproducing and we have more people, more resources to work with, we can start worrying about those infrastructures.
Yeah. I like what you're saying about bringing the parents back into the education, because I feel that that's a current problem in society. Some parents are happy to leave the education up to the state or their instructor or their pastor or whatnot, and I don't think that is necessarily the best idea all the time.
What do we do in circumstances where the parents are uneducated?
Or are educated and want their children to only learn one thing? Because I was
That too.
homeschooled, and
I'm staunchly against homeschooling, but just in this scenario, I think it makes sense. But
So
definitely,
what would
like
be
in
the
a modern day
difference?
society, I would not advocate for any homeschooling. I think we should take it out of society.
I agree.
But what's the difference in this context that makes homeschooling better?
Not homeschool. What
Lack of
I'm saying is
resources.
not homeschooling.
Well,
I'm
it's just
saying
in
is-
this context, it's
Homeschooling
not
in America
as-
would be different than homeschooling in
Yeah,
the UK for
it-
talk.
it-
When you
it-
say
it
homeschooling
wouldn't-
in America, it's usually because they want them to be taught Christian, young earth creation, down a specific route. That's what homeschooling is. A lot of homeschooling could be done over here due to circumstances rather than religious decisions.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it is overseas, but here in America, it sucks.
Yeah, over here it's fine. You know.
So how do we know that wouldn't happen in the context that we're discussing?
And that was my point too.
Well, yeah, but I think it's because your priorities change given the scenario that is 500,000 people. You're going to need people in the fields working. You here in the modern world, we can have the luxury of not putting our children to work. But when you're talking about 500,000 people trying to rebuild a society, your children are going to have to be working. That's going to be their education. It's going to be more up to the parents to teach them the finer things, the reading, the writing, the arithmetic, the English and the grammar. All of those things are going to be on. It's going to be a new responsibility that parents are going to have to take seriously to perpetuate the society.
Yeah.
The idea of leaving it up to the parents when, especially, you don't know the 500,000 that survived, you don't know what their ideas are, that could be dangerous. Granted, there's so many different things that could go dangerous in this situation.
Well, I think we could roughly guess, like, if it were to happen in America, odds are, like, most of them are going to be evangelical Nimrods, you know?
Exactly.
Well, we're going to hope that it's a general representation of the overall world's population, you know?
Okay.
Mixture of colors, mixtures of education, mixture of beliefs.
Do you think we would end up in a more apprentice guilds sort of education system then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think at least at first,
yeah.
at first you would be. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it play out through history. I would just hope that in a modern scenario, we could know enough about history not to repeat some of the mistakes that they made, and maybe take humanity in a better direction as opposed to a dogmatic one.
See, I worry we quickly descend into tribes of the ones that controlled the power and the ones that controlled the water and the ones that controlled the police.
This is why that you made the number of 500,000. I made the number of 3 million. Do you think there'd have been a difference, or the tribes would have been bigger?
Well, I mean, in a world that we're used to, a consumer world of 8 billion. I mean, any small number like that, you are literally starting over, and it's gonna be really like I said, it's gonna be just hard to get those lights back on, right? Like societies are gonna break down, economies are gonna break down, infrastructures are gonna corrode. You're gonna be in the dark starting over.
Here's a more esoteric question: why are we trying to rebuild the society we had?
Exactly, I wouldn't.
It's not.
See, wandering nomads in Africa get very
Don't
fine
think anybody
without
did
roads.
say that though.
Wandering nomads in Africa get on fine without roads and electricity. Why are we trying to rebuild the society we've got?
Well, I was saying that, you know, having access to the internet, definitely a thing. We should, Dave agreed with that. And, you know, educate, I said specialising in a lower age, and, you know, having free time to educate yourself. Like, I know it's a very cliche thing, but the whole Star Trek society thing, you know, your free time is spent bettering yourself for yourself or your fellow man.
Crafty says, people act like we haven't rebuilt from near extinction before. The only problem with society today is many don't know how to get food unless it's from a store.
Crafty,
I agree with that. Like, I think if we were in a real scenario at this point in our consumer society, if we got down to 500,000, we're doomed. People don't know how to hunt. They don't know how to grow anymore. What's the odds that everybody that survives is going to be a farmer, right?
It's only in those countries that are designed like that.
Oh yeah, sure. I've only got this American experience. I hate America. I wish I had more.
I also think that even in that scenario, I think it's fair to say someone or some individuals in that 500,000 would have some experience getting their own food, and they would probably end up being the people that we turn to, because most people don't, but you do have individuals that do.
Yeah,
so
you would prioritize.
Them.
Yeah, you would prioritize. You would set those people up in positions of authority to be the teachers in that what society has deemed important at the time.
But here's the thing: agriculture was devised at a time when there was no agriculture before then. So what's to stop it from happening again? Agriculture had to have had a beginning point at some point. So then, therefore, people must have started to do agriculture and farming and animal husbandry at some point. What's to say that people with no knowledge in a society with no knowledge couldn't devise that themselves?
Well, yeah, and I think we would have to, and that would be the good thing about this scenario is supposedly still, at least we would, even if we didn't have access to the computer files, we have all these books still laying around. We can teach ourselves, I think, a lot of the necessary things. The hardest things that it's going to be to teach ourselves is hunting and just living a more rugged lifestyle than, say, a cosmopolitan person might know or experience. It's gonna be a rough trade at first. It's going to be an adaptation.
Why would we need a more rugged lifestyle? Given we have, we're assuming at this point that what is here today is still here. There is an awful lot of cattle and an awful lot of farmland already planted.
Agriculture is a lot harder than people think, right? Like
the
desert exists merely because of agriculture. That entire Saharan wilderness, northern Africa, exists because of agriculture.
I mean, it's one of those funny things that people think Britain's got ancient forests. Every forest we've got was planted.
Yes and no.
What about Sherwood?
Every forest we've got right now was planted. It's not to say weren't chopped down a long time in the past and there weren't natural ones a lot longer ago. But every one we've got now was planted.
Oh, so you're saying there's no, quote, original British Isles forest at some point?
I think humanity has had an effect on every tree.
Okay, we're going back before time immemorial then?
Yes.
Fair enough, because I was going to say, because ancient forests do exist, because ancient forest is devised as a forest that was here.
My apologies, as a legal term, yes. Yeah, it does
because
an ancient forest...
Because an ancient forest is a tree that was here. An ancient forest was a forest that was here and was designated as such by Norman the Conqueror.
Yeah.
As somewhere he could go hunting. So a new forest was a hunting forest.
Yeah. I mean, I find it fascinating. I apologise. This is a slight detour. That things like the moor in what's the massive moor in Devon, Cornwall?
Bodmin Moor.
That was forest. The entire landscape there that looks like this barren, untouched landscape. What? Dartmoor was recreated completely. It was forest.
Well, it's like there's a mountain in Spain, in France, called the Bald Mountain because they took all the trees off and the trees never grew back.
Skeptic, when you're not talking, can you mute? There's a wee bit of fuzziness in the background, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Don't feel do feel free to shout and scream and get your point across. Anybody who's been very quiet, Maya, you know, I was only winding you up earlier. You can definitely shout and scream, like.
No, I'm just trying to get.
Please shout and scream over me. It will do me good.
You guys are doing good.
You think
No,
I'm
shush,
joking?
baby, shush. Maya was deliberately given the floor, and you fucking talked over her. So shush, Maya. What have you been thinking, listening to all of us?
I don't know. Like my ADHD is kind of acting up right now because you're like all over the board. And I've had some thoughts, but then I don't know. The conversation's been going so fast.
No, but that's the thing. You see, we've been talking about this topic for ages and wanting this topic, and Dave said it would end up like this. So I was like,
Yeah, no, I mean it's kind of weird because like I have no idea how few people, like 500,000 is, even in one space. Like it isn't. It's hard for me to weigh in because I'm like, do we even have time to do any of the things that would, outside of procreate, that would lend to like longevity? Like if everything's just online, it's like, okay, well, we show people how to get online if they need something. And, you know, it's a lot of like busy stuff. Like I really like the idea of like 3 million, I think you said, where you can kind of have factions.
Yeah.
And humans, I think if you have a goal of camaraderie, and some sort of hierarchy, you can get people to kind of weed out a lot of the us versus them. But yeah, it's normal for people to want to group up, click up in each other. But I mean, and that's normal. We're going to do that, but there are ways around it. It's really hard, like not knowing who the people are that are left over, like how power hungry or altruistic they're going to be. The people at the top, because power corrupts.
I grew up in a town of 497 people, and we all knew what each other's names were. We all knew what we could expect from the other people in the town, and we were very accountable to each other. But then I moved to the city, and it was, half a million of us not knowing who each other were and trying to get one over on the other guy. It's a big difference in society. So when we set up those hierarchies, we need to be careful in how we set them up and how large the groups are to divide those.
Well, if we went with a 3 million number, right? If we went with a 3 million number, that's like 1.2 million more than what's in Northern Ireland at the minute. 3
million is the population of Armenia.
There's only 1.8 million people here, and we have divided the
Problem
shit
you've got
out of
with
us.
3 million
What?
is if you go too big a number, you can just carry on. That's the reason I went for 500,000, because it was enough.
You really want to knock the legs out from underneath people, says the cripple.
No, I mean,
500,000 is a population.
Oh, Maya, would you, Phoebe?
Malta.
Lovely. Maya has been very quiet. Let Maya have a wee point.
No, I totally understand why you did, and I'm sorry, I'm not gonna take very long. I totally understand why you did the 500,000. It does make it more of like, a little bit of a Rubik's Cube, because you're trying to figure out where people are going to fit in. But I'm telling you, you could have 10 people. There's going to be an overseer of the people.
Yes.
It doesn't take much for to get that hierarchy. It doesn't have to be developed. It will naturally happen. Because like, let's say we have a bunch of farmers. Somebody's got to put all the pieces together. Somebody's got to say, okay, you guys stop. We're good. We need people over there. We're going to naturally just look for these people. And they're going to naturally rise. You're going to have people who have natural leadership abilities, and they'll just go. People will notice it and be like, you know what? I'm good here. I do my little thing over here. You go, coordinate, all the stuff. And before you know it, like that's quote unquote the leader. And that's how it looks rudimentary. But, the bigger the society, the more levels you get. And especially when you have to talk between groups. So now we have like the farmers that need to talk to the truckers or, the shippers or whatever that looks like. And now we have two bosses that have to coordinate stuff with one another. It's going to naturally evolve. So, I mean, I would love this total like communist kind of, vibe, but when we're talking about human beings, I mean, hell, even some animals.
Yeah, damn dirty gorilla apes.
That's why I haven't mentioned communism yet. Like, you would think the scenario would be perfect to start over with that utopian idea, but I just think the reality of the world that we've noticed is Maya's exactly right. There's going to be some autocrat that steps up and takes leadership, and there's always conflict within humanity, no matter how few the people is going to be.
Yeah. Lone Wanderer says, I am enforcing selective breeding until the infrastructure is sound enough to support more mouths.
Maybe you were hidden the entire time. Sorry, there was a thing on your face the entire time. We will now fix that. It's okay.
I also think that there are two really important aspects that I don't know how we would navigate in this circumstance. One would be mental health. So what percentage of the population suffers from severe mental health difficulties and how that would affect their ability to contribute or survive. And two, also criminals. So I don't know how we would be able to integrate a society with so few people, and we don't know how many of them are actually criminals or a danger to society.
Well, we would have to be representative of them as well. So, we'll throw one prison at them. What's
I don't think we can afford a prison.
No. We don't need to cage people.
No. I'm not saying no. I mean a prison. Right. We'll take one prison in America's population of criminals, and we'll say that is the number that survived. Okay. That one jail survived. Let's not put people in cages. Okay. I'm not saying throw a.
So a few thousand of them would be criminal-minded.
Yeah, of that general representation. Yeah, let's make that clear. Don't put people in fucking cages. Okay.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Hey, the Island of Sark has its own prison. It only has two.
Can we put Phoebe in a cage? Can we put Phoebe in a soundproof room?
I just want to get him a little progressive soapbox, though. I don't believe, I say criminally minded. I think that people, I don't think that they're evil people. I think that society is unnatural, and we put people in bad situations, and people go to desperate measures to ensure their survival.
The reason I agree. The reason I used
call those people criminals, but I don't think if we have something that's more egalitarian, there's no reason to believe that somebody would feel the need to take from someone else, unless we're talking about the 1% of people of a psychopaths.
Yeah, sociopaths.
Sociopaths, yeah, CEOs.
No. The reason I used a prison in America is because we get at least 70% of that population that is guaranteed to probably know how to grow good weed. That's so.
Of course.
There'll be enough wild weed growing in the country.
Oh yeah, that's just going to start growing naturally.
I was making a joke in the American prison system, Dave. Thanks for taking it away from me.
The problem is, we are going to have to. You're not going to have the egalitarian thing isn't going to work, because as soon as you have a reasonable number of people working here, one of them is going to think that they are working harder, and one of them is going to think, if I just do this sly thing, if I just take this, I don't have to work as hard.
I don't know.
Yeah. I would agree with Dave. No.
Yeah, I kind of want to sort of agree with Dave, is that I think it's a little bit idealistic, because I'm not sure if some people, I think we want to believe that people will inherently be good in this kind of situation. But if there's nothing stopping someone from saying, hey, I still own guns in this situation, I could just take all the houses from everyone here. What's
Why
to
would
stop
somebody
me?
do that? That's not normal.
No,
That's not normal.
why,
In this
that's the thing.
scenario,
Why-
everybody has a lot of guns. I mean, you're gonna have to. You're just gonna have to.
What you're going to
No, I'm
find
not-
is it's going to be people taking it's people taking a small amount that creates the bitterness, that creates the division. It will be that you taking it. You know, if you've got limited food supply, you take an extra sack of grain.
Why would we think that? Are people doing this now? Like, why would you think that this would happen? Why would they take it? Where would it go?
Well,
how would nobody know?
And I don't think you
Oh, they
get to
would
that
know.
place. I mean, we do still have this world of resources that you yourselves,
Yes.
pointed out that we'll be able to use.
My point is that's the
We'll be able
starting
to.
point.
We will be able to start farming, and creating resources for such a small population. It wouldn't be that hard. I think criminality in this society, honestly, would be very low, because people would be placing priorities on the advancement of the species. I just don't think that
Why? Again,
you're not going to see too much human versus human in this
Because
situation.
the benefit of the society again. That's what I'm
Right.
falling back on. I
Right.
think for a general, if it fell to that small of a number,
500,000.
I-
500,000.
no, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I do still believe that Dave is correct, and people will steal an extra bag of grain or an extra bag of
For
sugar.
what? To do what with it? What are you gonna do?
But
Why do you need
there
more
will
than you
be.
need?
Right.
But like the ramifications in this scenario would be so harsh.
Don't get, why would it be so hard?
You
Right,
really
but you see, you
would.
got, cut your arms and legs off if you steal.
Well,
something.
I don't know what they would be, but I mean, when you're talking about
Right.
the perpetuation of
I
society,
am a very
everything
frugal,
is going to change.
Anybody
Everything.
who knows me, I am a tight ass frugal motherfucker. I am yellow stickers, reduced section all the way as best I can. Brilliant. But I have 3 store cupboards down there, and I could probably not have to buy any food and still survive for maybe 2 or 3 weeks because I have enough in store now. Pardon?
No, just wait. I need to point something out.
You're in a capitalist
No, just let me make my statement. Maya is asking, why would I take more than I need? And
No, you're not in that society.
No, but I would, if I was in that society, this is the reason why I would take more than I need. Because humans themselves there's always that wee bit, and they'll take an extra can of tomatoes or an extra this, that, or the other, put it in the cupboard for just even a fucking lazy day. I don't have to go to the shop today because I've got stuff in the cupboard.
We don't see that. When people see a genuine crisis against humanity, like when we're at this point, I mean, when you got to think about a serious crisis, like, we didn't
They
see
don't go out and buy loo rolls.
Huh?
They don't go out and buy loo rolls on a mass quantity.
I mean,
are you talking about toilet paper? That's weird.
Yeah, he's talking about. But again,
toilet paper apocalypse.
That's a capitalist society versus like facing the end of mankind. Like,
But it's not
capitalism had nothing to do with the toilet papers being hoarded. It was people just stealing them. People were literally stopping lorries and stealing them out the back of lorries.
When there was no risk, no need.
But I mean, okay, if you work in a
consumer humans are stupid.
Yeah, if you work in a toilet paper production company and you can take what you need when you need it, you always know that the toilet paper is there. There's no need to steal it. We don't see people stealing. I mean, and again, like if you have mental issues, or if you're traumatized, like we see children doing stuff like this when they're traumatized, but like people who know, I can go over here and get what I need anytime I want it, it's not normal human behavior to take extra. When we see that, again, it's tertiary. Like you'll see that with people, like when they're mad at their employer, well, I'm just going to take this pen just because it's something I can get on them because they're getting over on me. But if I don't feel that, like if we're just working, we're all pulling our own weight, I don't see it.
But we won't all be pulling our weight.
Yeah.
Why aren't we?
I understand your point about within the industry, right? Like
within. I mean, because that's all we would see because we're working morning and night.
Wait a second.
That's all we see.
What happens to me?
I've got no bog roll, and I need to go out and wipe. Right? I'm sick and tired of using my hand. I'm gonna go over to my neighbor's apartment. and I'm going to take their bog roll when they're out getting
What's a bog
fresh
roll?
bog roll.
Bog rolls, toilet paper.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so crime is still going to exist, even if only outside.
I'm not saying
that,
we wipe out
industrial
crime.
context.
I'm not saying we wipe out crime. I never said we wipe out crime. I'm saying
Okay.
we don't need to. My original point is that we're not going to see crime to the point that we see it now, because society is so fucked up that people are.
And you still have this. You have this massive world around you, and you don't even have zombies walking around making it dangerous to go out and pilfer everything, right? Like, I mean, you are gonna get through that critical area with plenty of supplies. You know, like it's really the rebuilding of society. You're gonna have your sociopaths, and I think like what crime is really going to be perpetuated a lot in this instance is going to be crimes like rape. You know, like, you know, that's what you're really going to be worried about, I think.
And those were the kinds of crimes that I was more trying to bring up, because there are going to be individuals that just don't care about survival as far as society goes, and they only care about themselves. And while it's not necessarily typical by most standards, I'm saying we're still going to have those people. What do we do with them? Amongst trying to survive and educate and all that, what are we going to do with this?
In this scenario,
the
punishment would have to be harsh. You would collectively decide what that punishment is as a society, but it would have to be harsh.
Why do you think it has to be harsh?
Yeah, why does it have to be harsh?
So people don't do it.
I'm thinking I mean, don't societies usually just banish? Like, you can't be here.
Yeah,
like,
Get out of mega city. Go judge Dredd in the desert.
Every study has shown that deterrents don't work in terms of crime. Deterrents are not a valid thing.
Again, I think that we're thinking about a modern world where there's so many people and you can get lost in seas of people. We're talking about a very small community here of 500,000. My city has 888,000 people in it, you know, and we're talking about less than my city here. I mean, I think that if you look at history in these small civilizations, criminality is usually punished very severely. You've got to perpetuate the society.
I'm not saying that traditionally it hasn't been. I'm saying that we have knowledge now we did not have.
I don't think the knowledge would matter much in the situation.
Well, my point is that.
Hi, thanks for coming. Love you. Fuck yourself.
What?
I can't tell if y'all don't like each other or it's banter.
It's pure banter.
I'm from England.
It's a little bit of both.
He's from the silly place across the Irish Sea that decides it's going to hate itself.
No, you see, what actually happened is on our first time meeting each other, she made a couple of jokes and we were back and forth and the banter was good. And she was like, "Oh, don't try and troll me. I will out troll you." And I was like, "Really? You think you can out troll me?" So that has now been our relationship.
Yeah, we are just two trolls trolling each other. That's our problem.
And that's my second favorite part of the stream, just to clarify. Watching you two go back and forth.
You know what's even
You
better
want to watch
than that?
the interview that we first had. But anyway, I have to, skedaddle because I've had enough of, slathering in pigs.
No, we've just kicked her. Love you, Phoebe. Bitch. So, moving on. Yeah. I don't know what we were saying. Completely lost track. See, she's a better troll
think we're
tonight.
talking
Oh, she's
about
back
crime.
again. No.
Oh, she's back.
She's back. I thought you used to go.
You know, now that you've done that, she won't leave.
Brilliant. I love having her here. It's great fun.
Just out of pure spite, she'll just sit here.
I've done that. I did that to Jungle Jargon and fucking Nephilim Free the other night, screaming at me to leave, and I was like, nope, I'll just stay here now then. Hung about for an hour and a half. Neffy going mad.
I watched that with you saying you're going to stay for 20 minutes, and I think I'm going to only have to listen to 20 minutes of this bullshit. You're still fucking there an hour and a half later.
Did you listen to the whole thing?
I listened to a bit
from Lost Boys. Don't invite a vampire into your home, silly boy.
It wasn't my home. I went into their house. I walked into the lion's den. I went to see what the crack was.
Great.
Yeah. Right. Are we on topic or how long have we been going? What time is it? It's now 10 past 11. We started at 10 o'clock. We'll go for another 15, 20 minutes. That's a good 90 minutes. I'm happy enough for that. So you should always never announce when you're going to end the stream, because.
Right. Here's my question I was trying to ask. What happens to me? Most labor is now physical labor. I can only do a limited amount of that.
Now, can I ask a
Jay,
question?
you and I
Hold on,
are
I want to ask a specific question, right?
Right.
Actually, 2 questions. One, why is Phoebe still here? And the second question, are you talking you, as in you? Or are you talking you? Oh, or your physical condition? Because you personally have a lot to give.
Any person that is
Specifically crippled.
That's specifically crippled. I don't want to be too narrowed down to me. I'm working under the assumption here that it basically has to be that the only labor we realistically have available is physical labor. I'm following on from the crime thing, because the point is, again, that no matter what I do physically, I will not be able to work as hard in the fields as Nock.
I'll be right with you there in about pretty soon.
So,
no, I would hope we don't go back to our barbaric roots for sure. And I think that, we can utilize minds just like we can utilize bodies. And then I do think that there would be a role for we can find a role for anybody. I mean, as we were saying earlier, I don't think we want to discard any of humanity in this situation. We've got to perpetuate humanity,
Yes,
so.
but my point was more how quickly before the other 100 people in that field begrudge that I'm only putting in 25% of the effort.
We give you the biggest gun. That's the solution. You get the biggest gun. My simple answer would be I would just, I've been speaking, there's going to be some barbarism, but hopefully we can keep our modern moral ethics and continue on and hopefully restart society better and not make those barbaric mistakes we made in our past.
This is the problem I've got. I'm stuck between the idealistic thing in my head that says we can do this as a nice society and my complete lack of faith in humanity.
No, I mean, I hear you. I mean, again, it depends on who's left, right? There's going to be some people who really don't understand you and your situation and are going to feel some kind of way about it. And there's going to be other people, hopefully, that can more eloquently than me say that, you're not going to be in the fields your entire life. At some point, you're going to need to sit down and, we're going to treat you the way you're going to want to treat him.
Dave,
and what is that going to look like for you?
Dave, could you add that? Oh, brilliant. Thank you. Hi, Crafty.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
So, listening to the stream, can you give us a summary of the stream so far, please?
We're all fucked.
That's
a great summation.
That's a good summation. Yep.
I mean, but this is what the worst thing is. We are a relatively intelligent, small group of people that does give a damn about society, and we can't agree.
That was the point.
But, I mean, it's also a hypothetical because we don't know who the people are. Like, I could be more definitive if I was just like, oh, I got these bunch of fuckers, or,
I agree.
Yeah, but again, we're being very, intelligent and worrying about it and taking an average of everything. So we're dealing with statistically more probable outcome. Not going, I'm just going to keep these people and shoot everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, the problem that I'm having with these I've had hypothetical conversations for years about what a future society would look like. And this is the first time it's been posed to me that maybe there's only 500,000 of us left. But the problem that I'm having, I studied sociology for 6 years.
And you refused to join. Is he saying something? Hang on. Up until now, all night, I've been like, jump in. No, not touching this.
Jump in. Who sent me the link? Was it Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't send me the link.
No, I have too much shit going on. Dave's like my in-tune buddy. He knows this stuff.
That's why I didn't jump in. Yeah, no.
Now it's your
yeah,
turn.
an hour into it. An hour into it, and I decided to come in. But no, the big thing for me, because as I said, I've studied how societies change. And the big thing for me in this hypothetical situation is how we got to be only 500,000.
Oh, we wiped out. It's a disease that killed.
Worldwide pandemic called Silly Billy ISIS.
Captain Trips. I think that's what they called it in The Stand, right?
The ones that died were the ones that refused to stay the fuck indoors.
Although Stephen King assures us
So
that
Bird Box,
Captain Trips
basically.
is not the current pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bird Box. Someone watched Bird Box and thought, okay, maybe we might have to make this into a reality. No, it's because, and the reason why I bring it up is because how it's happened and how humanity has come, because I did ask in the chat, are humanity together or are we spread out? How does this work? And
you missed the start. We all, regardless of what destroyed us all, we all found ourselves together.
Yeah. We took 20 years. We took 20 years coming.
We don't have to be damn specific because we're trying to create an imaginary scenario, a hypothetical.
I've read too many books.
We're trying to create.
When you're talking,
look, you're only in and you're starting fucking rouse for.
But because it's important. When you're talking about societal structure, how the society has come to that point is important because people change through struggle. People change through their journey.
Right, fine. All across the world, this thing happened, and the random population of 500,000 people was all across the world, and the only thing everybody had was an FM AM radio, and there was a beep, beep, beep coming, and they stole boats, and they used airplanes if they had a license, and they all arrived after 3 years at this point.
You really
now
need
at this point, we are here. We are moving forward. You happy with that?
Yes.
Thank you.
That is a good parameter to set.
Happy. Shut your mouth now. Yeah. So, anything else you have problems with, Crafty?
It's not so much problems.
No, I understand. No, it's fine. I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I did say earlier, it's not like we haven't faced near extinction before, because we as humans, as Homo sapiens, nearly did go extinct at one point in our history.
The level of technology that we guarantee can work over long bandwidths, I think my story was...
Yes.
Because I've thought about this for fucking weeks. Like, weeks. David's been like, don't do the stream. It'll just be all over the place. Nobody will know what the fuck's going on, and it'll be mad. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked him again, and he went, okay. And I was like, fuck it, we're doing it tonight. Fucking doing it tonight. He was right.
Yeah, but in terms of societal structure, at the start, if you're coming together after 3 years, yes, the hierarchies will still be there. And as Maya said earlier, those leadership roles, those will be filled. But here's the thing. As I said, people change through the journey. So you see in a capitalist society where everything is based on competition, which is not necessarily bad, things are based on profit. You also have, alongside that, you have cooperatives. And the point that I was making in the chat is that this is a learned behavior. So because there's so few people, the interdependency is now so important that the idea that you will just cheat the next person when you are living right next door to that person is not going to happen, or is less likely to happen, because human need demands interdependency.
Okay, fine. You're right and I'm wrong. I'm going off to my own fucking island and being a hermit. That's what I'm doing from now on.
I think that Crafty's got a good point going on, although I want to put an asterisk on that of those 500,000, how many do we know are not neurologically divergent in some way, ergo like they have anger issues or megalomaniac aspirations, and so it's...
Well, MathPig survived, so...
Says the evil, crippled mastermind with servers in it. Like, you're a literal evil guy start story from a comic book. All right.
Crafty, that's my point.
Yeah, it's a good point. However, if you remove the scenario, so like crime, you were talking about crime earlier, and of course there's going to be criminals. But but the problem with that is when you remove the motivation for criminal behavior, you can, not always, but you can remove the criminal behavior or the intention.
Reduce it, yeah.
So in which case there's more likelihood that in that divergent population, or the population that would be divergent, in violent terms, it would be a lot easier to deal with the issues one-on-one, rather than a rush mentality of a society where we don't actually have time to deal with these really hardcore issues because we just don't have time.
Okay.
And thankfully, because of where we are in human population, we were saying that we'd keep all of the knowledge that we have. We already know how to actually deal and how to categorize some of these issues and how to help and how to educate. So if we keep technology, then yeah, we would be in a greater advantage of helping someone with mental health issues or with severe mental or severe societal issues.
Well, I mean, more than helping them, I just mean that certain people are going to have low levels of these traits and will feel emboldened by them to exploit certain corners of society, the new society. Is that fair statement, or?
Yes, but again, it depends on how society reacts to it. If you're in the majority and 2 people or 3 people are acting out, then it like you're always going to have rules of society. If you're going to live with people, you have to have a framework to live with people. So you're always going to have rules of society that people have to obey or not obey. And if they're not going to obey, you have 2 options. Either, unfortunately, incarcerate them. But if there's only 500,000 people, distance.
Sure.
Traditionally, you would separate them from the majority of society. Right. Now, thankfully, if we have the technology that we have now, that doesn't have to be inhumane.
So could that not lead to tribes, right? Like, so one guy splits off of the main group because he doesn't like the way that things are going, and then 15 other people that don't like the way things are going go and join him, and then some of those are charismatic and rally others to their cause, and then all of a sudden, instead of one tribe of 500,000, we've got one tribe of 400,000 and one tribe of 100,000.
That's what happens in human society. We grow and we diverge and we separate and we explore. Because as society grows, there is no point in staying in the same area. We are, by instinct, animals. We are pack animals. We travel, we explore, we're inquisitive. But we are social creatures, so we do need other people around us.
We're looking
or other
for
creatures around us.
If there's not a good bar here, we'll find one in the next town.
Or we'll build our own.
We'll build our own. With blackjack and hookers.
But someone asked if I was talking about Tinder. No, I wasn't talking about Tinder. Good point, though.
Right. Oh, are we all happy?
Yes.
Yes.
Are we all going to die off if we are picked as the leaders of the 500,000 nation?
No, I will
you
play
that
dictator.
Do you know what? I think that although disagreement is important. Disagreement, as long as the best idea in the room wins for that situation. And as long as you have people
in politics.
Yeah, as long as people are willing to cooperate and to talk, then there's hope. Not going to say it's going to succeed, but
or
there's
it's going to
hope.
be found on this channel.
Yeah, I have a quick question for Crafty. What do you think happens to Dave in this society?
You see, here's the problem. We don't just need physical labor. There is labor that can be done. Or there's things that can be done without having to be physically involved. And that is just as important and just as valuable to society as someone who, like me, had a farm. Would be a farmer.
So who's going to decide who gets in charge? Dave or myself, who can't do anything but have capable minds, or people who are able-bodied and able-minded? Do you not think that there might be a certain minority of society that will push to have people like Dave and I removed from or isolated from society? Like, why should we waste our resources on these extra people if all they can do is think and shout orders at us?
I am a fan of a little thing called participatory democracy. So the majority rules, yes, but everyone is involved. Everyone is valued. Everyone is understood.
Yeah,
and everyone gets a chance to speak.
I appreciate that.
10% to take over the society.
If the rest of the 90% allows it. And
Yeah.
if there's only 500,000 and there's a lot of space, then they go somewhere else.
Can they allow dissension?
Of course.
If you walk off,
hang on. Right.
Hang on.
Reproductive age of what, 25 up to 30 years of a woman's life, right, is reproductive age.
Yeah.
All you need is 50,000 people to grow to 8.5 billion over thousands and thousands of years. We have seen that. It has happened.
Yeah.
So the idea that you can't have, I don't know, 100,000 over here and 400,000 over there.
Well, I'm not worried about having the 100,000 and the 400,000. I'm worried about the 100,000 or the 400,000 saying, you know what, I want what they've got. And
never happened in
I
human
don't like
history.
what they're doing is another common thing that's happened throughout history. And so I'm not necessarily saying that that's the way that things are going to go, but that's something that shouldn't be dismissed so easily.
Oh, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But that's the thing. That's the problem that I have with people who try to predict what society would look like in the future in any model. Like
Okay.
I'm people don't like me, but I enjoy
Who doesn't
regulatory capitalism. They don't like when I say regulatory capitalism is a thing that we used to have and it worked.
People say
that-
democracy or republic in my country, and I say democratic republic, and everybody stares at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? Even though before Caesar, that was Rome.
Exactly.
I
just got distracted real quick. Brainbug, I haven't seen the baby mantises. I am going to go over there right after this stream because I need to see baby mantises.
Baby mantises.
Baby mantises.
You could only have functioning capitalism in society, even if it is strongly regulated, if you actually put a value on everything.
The value is there. The value, it depends on how you calculate the value, but the value is there. It's a use value. And the thing with capitalism is it's also a commodity. So it's not just the use value, but it's the commodity value. It's how much you can sell it for. And that's what competition is supposed to be for. That's why we need regulation. Because
so
that will
bring us
regulate.
back to the question of education that we were talking about initially, yes?
To an extent. I mean, there was some good points about the education system that I agreed with. Yeah. Education is important in any society, and the problem with it is formal education. And we have when you're talking about education, you do have to preface with saying we're talking here about formal education, because every day you're learning. Everything you learn that's new is education. And it's how we view and how we value education, or formal education. In my view, we as a society, we don't really value formal education, because formal education is divided into either you are trained to be a worker, which is the regurgitation that MathPig was talking about, or you are trained to be a leader, which would be the charter schools, the private schools, the wealth.
I just want to address something. I assumed bad nature, so I automatically deleted 2 messages. My apologies. Sorry, move on there, Crafty. My fault. Go on ahead.
Okay. But I'm just saying, like, there's a difference between education and valuing education and understanding formal education, and where you place the value on the formal education systems that we have in society today. And there's a range of different ones. Thankfully, I would assume, with the value of hindsight, we're able to learn from one another with technology and decide which one would actually suit us best if we were down to 500,000.
I just keep putting forward, as me and Knock made the same point on two different stages. The betterment of society, it's just, as Dave pointed out, people are cunts.
Yep.
It all boils down to, we can all say these different things and we all have our wonderful nature and all the rest of it, but when shit hits the fan, we're human, we're gorillas, we're not gorillas, we're apes, we're, We just are a social species who will do what we need to do to survive, as long as you don't get caught. We're all.
But that's the thing. It's what we need to do to survive. That's the big emphasis.
Yeah, what we.
And
need
that's
to
why.
do to
That's why
survive.
I was asking. But that's why I was asking. How close are we? Are we living over the space of the UK? Are we living over the space of the US? Are we living over the space of Europe? Are we living over?
It's a wide
'cause
representation of the entire world who, over the course of 3 years, using an AM radio.
No.
No, she said the land. No,
Bring
she
it
said
back.
land
The
space.
pilot
Yeah.
survived. Yeah, they
Land-
we can all get together
Here's a
and-
question. Here's a question. If under this hypothetical situation, you have a situation where there's houses for everyone, is
Yep.
there going to be homelessness? In which case, and if there is
I
enough
said infrastructure
food
basically
for
is still there. The
everybody-
buildings and all are still there, and we are moved
Yeah.
beside Hoover Dam, so we are getting good electricity.
So you have 500,000 people. You have, let's say, 300,000 homes, because some of them are going to be families. They're going to move in together. You're not
In
going
and
to
around
need
the
500,000.
area of Hoover Dam,
homes.
we can go and look it up and be really specific and pedantic if you want to be, Steve. But go on ahead.
Fuck off,
Taking over Las Vegas.
prick.
Yeah, Vegas. First thing we want to get running is the whorehouses. Great.
No, the point of it is a lot of that greed mentality comes from not having something, or not having the ability to have something, and therefore you have to go to extreme measures or sneaky measures in order to get it.
Yeah.
If it's there and nobody's going to object to you having it, then is the desire to screw someone over to get it going to be there? That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, that was my point.
I think there's an awful lot of human nature that says that you would just there are things that people would just take. I've worked with people that just
Like that would just take something from someone else.
yeah. And there's
Even
no
though they could just go get it themselves somewhere else.
yeah. Stupid thing.
Because
It's
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to see the person, because like what you're actually talking about is like you're usually like tertiary like behaviors. Assuming people are not. I mean, initially, okay, yeah, there's going to be a lot of like mental issues. Like people are going to be traumatized. There's going to be a lot of PTSD, and there's going to be a lot of weird behaviors like we couldn't even hope. I mean, to see like everyone in the world pretty much decimated, yeah, like there's going to be a lot of tertiary behaviors that I'm sure we've never seen before. But
I just
if we're
texted Dave
talking
about a person.
about-
I just texted Dave. Dave, look at your Twitter. Right? Yeah. People, I fully agree with Dave. Sorry. People are.
Well,
MathPig just
I'm-
looks
I'm-
talking over me.
I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna agree with MathPig when he said that
Check your
human
Discord,
nature
Maya.
is to survive. Human nature is to survive.
Yeah.
Everything else is
I
learned
said that.
behavior, depending on how you learn or how you grow or what society you're in.
Our society already has already. This is. I agree with you. I apologize for interrupting, but we're still only. We still have the people with the people who grew up in the society we currently live in.
Yes,
Everything
but
they've
again,
learned.
but that's the problem, Dave. Even now, we don't all live in the same society.
No.
Yes, 90% of the world is capitalist, but not everywhere is capitalist. We have
No, I agree, and
dictatorships.
there would
We
be a
have,
represent-
you know
there
what I
would be a
mean?
representative from others.
But that's what I'm saying. For me, as a sociologist, having studied what I've studied and how societies change and why societies change, because sometimes we need to change. The one thing that was always very clear to me is that there is no set human behavior or human nature except to survive. That is the only human nature trait that has not changed. We learn, we survive, we adapt. That is the only thing throughout the 1.5 million years that we have been on this earth. We learn, we change, we adapt, we survive. That is the one thing that has stayed the same. Everything else has changed. How we relate to each other, how we grow together. It used to be that society, if you go far enough, society raised their children. Now we live in a society where two people raise their biological children, and yet in certain places in the world there are still those
that's better.
Those communities where the community raises the child.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. The only factor of human nature that has not changed is that we survive. We change, we adapt to our situations.
So that we survive has remained the same, but the methods through which we've done that, they have changed drastically over that last couple 100,000 years that we've been a coherent, civilized, city-building people.
Yes. So I have hope.
You have hope.
I am retaining my hope.
You're retaining your hope. Are you retaining your hope because you need to, or because you believe it?
Because I believe it. Because I've been right.
Crafty,
so
what do you
my
say?
granddad,
We all move to an island, get a shitload of goats.
Yes. Well, my granddad was a postal worker. Okay, for most of his life he was a postal worker, and we were always he was always taught. His generation, he grew up in the kind of just after the Republican movement, right? So go forward into the 80s, he's still a postal worker, and the miners' strike is happening in the UK. What does he do? Does he say, fuck them, they're Brits? No, he goes around Ireland with his trade union and tells all the postal workers that they need to give and donate to the miners. So he has been raised since birth to hate the British. And yet he went around this country and saved up money from people who didn't have it, because Ireland in the 80s was not a fucking wealthy country. And he still felt it necessary to show solidarity, to work with people, to protect human life. Because when it comes down to it, we are all human, and we recognize that fact. And if there's only 500,000 people, I absolutely believe that the
You don't think at a local level piss people off?
Huh?
That what?
At a local level, you don't think people are going to piss people off?
Of course. That's communities piss each other off all the time.
I mean, husbands piss off wives. Sorry. And vice versa.
This is the point.
But like, I mean,
from each other.
To the point that, what are you trying to say, that people just have to murder? Like,
but
that's Knox's point. Knox's point was like, you steal something, we're going to cut your arms off. We're going to cut your legs off. You know, it has to be extreme point.
No.
But what the point I'm making is that
I never said that.
I was only I'm making
actually, I said extreme, but I said society would determine it. And I think.
Oh no.
Usually
just to
society
be clear,
determines exile.
Yeah, no. Just to be clear, I wasn't, quoting Knock. I was just poking fun at the man, No, just
I'm just saying. Before that point, he would have been ultra Republican. And when I say Republican, I mean Irish style Republican. He grew up hating the British. For what? He didn't know, but it was drilled into him. Hate the British. And yet, as soon as the miners' strike started, he and a few others went around the country and made a collection and sent it over to the miners so that they could feed their families. Because the situation had changed. He learned, he adapted. The old ways of what he thought were basically demolished by watching these families starve, by watching these families being fucking picked apart, and these communities like his being destroyed. So I have hope. I still have hope.
My mortgage broker worked in the mines in them days. That's why.
Yeah, he sounds like a decent human being. Don't look at American evangelicals; you'll lose your hope in mankind.
Oh, come here. I was raised in Catholic Ireland. I understand evangelicals.
I was raised Catholic, Roman Catholic American, and I'll tell you, evangelicalism and Pentecostals boggle my mind.
Yeah, no, same. I was raised Roman Catholic American, and they're actually really liberal compared to like anything I've seen on the Bible Belt.
Well, they used to be when we were kids, right? But they've gotten really weird in the last 5 years or so. Well, really? I mean, Ratzinger was pretty off, but that was a separate thing.
No, I made a severed, like, hard cut around the year 2000 and never looked back. So, I don't know. I'm sure I would be surprised, but they can't be as batshit crazy as, like, anything that would like the NFIB or
Oh
what's up,
no,
the
no,
church.
not at all, not at all.
Just to say, I was going to say, Stephen might be arriving. Oh, I just can't. Stephen,
Period.
hello.
So we're never going to finish this stream.
I swear to fuck. I swear to
Never.
God, it's never going to
I'm
end.
kicking before we start.
Hey,
Right.
Stephen!
Like,
Hi.
never gonna. Would you? You had to bring it on and do your man bun on screen, didn't you? Just to
fuck
wind
off.
me up, just so
Fuck
I could.
off.
Yeah.
Look,
Insert
David,
lamb
you're
chop
jealous that
from
I
here.
actually have hair still and you don't, alright? You don't need to fucking...
Well, I make the
person
choice
get
to
on
be
the street.
smooth. That's my choice.
Well, okay.
Stephen.
Speaking of which,
Stephen.
Nicola, could you change your camera angle?
Which one?
The one that we're all looking at from, like, it's a weird camera angle.
The fucker called me Steve earlier, so be happy he's just making fun of your
Right,
man bun.
I am saying this right now. This is being shut down in like 15-20 minutes. Definitely. Okay, 12
You
o'clock.
did that half an hour ago.
12
minutes
o'clock.
ago.
We're shutting this down, right? Stephen, have you been listening? No, you've been at work.
No, I've been at work.
Stephen,
Just-
if you
just
had
home.
one rule to implement to society, we're not going to go into the details, you just accept it to the point where we had to create a fucking situation to keep even Crafty happy. So, taking that into consideration, 500,000 people are left in America. And I'm not saying the United States because they don't exist anymore because there's only 500,000 people. But it's a good big island where we can walk and move around.
United State.
Thanks for
Yeah,
that.
just, yeah.
Okay,
Just-
everybody interrupt me. Fine, right?
We're on the Hoover Dam.
Beside the Hoover Dam, yes, where we've got 500,000 people of a general representation of the entire world that took 3 years to get here. What is one rule, one goal, one point, one thing, one piece of advice that you would like to implement on this society? Go!
Critical
One
thinking
rule or
education.
one piece of advice. Have fun and use all the holes.
Right, moving on from that, what other piece of advice would you, like general, like, would your goal be to the betterment of society? Would you like to educate the young, you know? Is there any money involved? We didn't even discuss money tonight. This is definitely
No, we
having
didn't.
2 and 3 parts.
Yeah, I think definitely kind of educating the young and kind of focusing there. So
Do you think
know,
that every child should learn to read and write?
Yes.
Even a farm hand that only never reads or writes and just gets told to lift a feed bag and hand it to the cows.
Yeah, because you
There you
don't
go,
know
Dave.
how like things are gonna like change and how things are like gonna turn out like differently. Like it could be that today, but it might not be that tomorrow. So they need to have that skill just in case.
Stephen, where have you been? Fucking at work. You could have shut
the
down
problem
Dave
is
earlier.
you do not need every.
At work.
Oh, you don't need every kid to be able to read and write.
Oh, we're not having the same conversation again. All right, Stephen, just shut your point
apparently we
down.
did.
No, Stephen debunked your entire point. You're wrong.
He did not debunk
You're
my
wrong. You're wrong. All right.
The point is, I agree with his point. I still think there are people that will not want to educate all the kids.
I know. We're not doing. I know. We've heard it like 10 times from you, Dave. Right at the very start of the stream, full circle.
We need to discuss it again.
Because it's a fucking point. Stephen's just joined. Can we? Let's not talk about talking. Can we
I've
have a
just
talk
told
about
them.
a conversation? So,
Like I do take issue with what Davis just said there. That not every child needs to be able to read and write.
No,
we all
I-
did, and we spent like 40
No,
minutes on
You,
it.
you weren't here at the start either when we argued.
Oh, I
it.
was.
Were you?
I
And then you
was.
saw my point that people will argue against it. I said there are people alive now that argue against it,
Yeah.
right? So there will be
who's
people
joined
in
now?
our
It's
new
never going to
society
end.
that will argue
Oh,
against
skeptic
it.
is back.
We live in a society based on literature. Because that's one of the main ways that we communicate with one another is through writing.
Now, but that's not
Yeah.
most of
And in the
human
future.
history. Most
Here,
of human
here's the thing. Here's the thing. How can you use a computer? How can you use a computer
Why
and
would a farmhand
this-
need to use a computer?
why wouldn't they?
Because I don't want them to as their boss.
You're not their boss.
Somebody will be that doesn't
Doesn't
care,
matter.
that doesn't want them learning about this nice.
That's feudalism. It
Yeah, yes,
failed.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. I'm with
You-
Crafty on that.
No,
Well,
I'm so
I've been a
mad.
par-
I'm
hang
not
on, hang on.
working.
I
I'm
have
only playing
been-
devil's advocate because the point was that we were trying to get to something that everyone would agree on.
Dave, I
And my
have
point is
been a
not
farmer.
everyone.
I have been a farmer. Do not tell me it's not useful
Of course,
to read and
it's
write as a
useful.
farmer.
But the point is, there are people that will not agree. That's my point.
Tough fucking luck.
Right, and at that point in the conversation, we were trying to come up with any goals or any things that we could all agree, or not that we could all agree, because we can all agree quite easily, that everyone would agree on. And I said, you can't even get everyone to agree on reading and writing, on teaching kids reading and writing.
The majority of people do, though.
Would. I agree. But not.
But you don't need. Yeah, but you don't need the majority of people teaching reading and writing. You just need a few people willing to actually teach children.
And you need parents that are willing to send their kids to be taught to read and write.
Yes, but if they've lived in society already, they know the benefit of reading and writing.
Again, we have people in society now that live in our society that think it's a waste of time.
Oh, fuck me. We had this conversation. We're going to run around the room.
I know,
We're going to run around the room. Crafty, the floor is yours. Have you anything happening, anything going on? Any goats that are giving birth to kids? The videos for, like, what have you got happening?
Right, so Friday I have Akila Talks on sociologically speaking why musicals are rewritten for the screen from the stage, like why they actually changed them, mainly focusing on the likes of Les Mis and stuff like that, of why they actually changed them, the words. Then next Friday I have Eye on Society, which will focus on what is free speech, what it actually is, what it's not, what people think it is, how it developed, etc., etc. And other than that, every Sunday I do a show called Life on the Flip Side between myself, my channel, which is on my channel this week, and Steaming Cup of Reason. So that's pretty much it.
I don't like the new 12:30. It should just have stuck at 11:30. See, at 12:30, I'm walking out the door to go to the park. At 11:30, I'm sitting down, she's eating breakfast. That's why I don't be about it anymore.
Understandable, but my co-host is in Vietnam, who doesn't have daylight savings time and works.
Right, I think you people are arguing about the wrong thing here.
No, we're arguing about am I ever going to end this fucking stream, right? Thank you, Crafty.
If you're telling people about Crafty's show, you have to tell them that it is pure torture.
And yet you're there every week, Dave.
Because you can't stop. You have to find the fucking goat.
I don't like that. You see, I also happened to stop watching whenever the goat wasn't there on time. It's just I don't like this.
Okay.
No.
So
we're not going down that fucking goat route.
Just to explain what the fuck they're talking about is half an hour before we end the stream, we have a spot the goat competition where you actually have to find the goat in our little picture, in our background picture, and if you spot the goat, you get to be the guest for the next week.
Except if you're MathPig. Except if you're MathPig. MathPig found the goat twice before anyone else and was ignored.
MathPig never found
As ever, MathPig can't follow the fucking rules.
Oh no, this was before the rules, and I'm like, it's up there in the curtain, posted it away in the chat, everybody ignored me, and then like 40 minutes earlier.
Start.
Pardon?
The spot the goat only happens the last half an hour when the spot the goat team
but the
goes.
goat used to be up for the entire stream.
It is now. It's to stop us.
Oh, did it come back? Because I haven't watched in ages.
You can't give an answer till after the thing.
Okay, fine. That stupid fucking rule exists that you can't give an answer until she says, "Can I have the answer?" But if I still found the goat first.
But then the whole stream is taken up by people trying to find the goat. So we want to contain it to the last half an hour.
Oh no, it's not the entire stream. It was just me being an asshole because I like to break rules. Ask Dave. I be on his quiz all the time.
Which is why you weren't on the show. Because you broke the rules.
Fuck you, rules.
And nobody gave a fuck.
Right, we're going right. Maya! This is a mad... Have you anything happening, Maya?
Yeah, Titan says never say fucking and goat in the same sentence if you're Irish.
Agreed.
Never say what?
Fucking goat.
Fucking and goat.
Oh, he's doing that whole moon planet thing on us.
Ex-girlfriend of mine used to say nothing sexy about a goat.
I made a video where Richard Madsen and Jim Hall actually discussed goats through a 9-inch hole. Patreon only content. Maya, have you anything happening?
My face right now. No, I don't do shit. I kind of lurk, and on occasion people are like, "Get your fucking ass in here, bitch." So that hasn't happened since the stream started. So I've got nothing going on.
Knock. Anything happening over in the?
Yeah, let me unmute. Yeah, I got Brett Keane tomorrow night.
Is he still
Talking.
not a Christian?
Yeah, he's like he calls himself a dystheist now or something like that. I don't know. It's weird, but he's gonna be talking about why he no longer likes Matt Powell. And then I'm going to be talking to Thick Shades on Saturday. And then, yeah, I've got videos coming out every 2 or 3 days. So those are popping off as well.
Yeah, I will not put any links in the description unless Dave puts the links in the chat. We're fucked. I am lazy as hell. Stephen, everybody knows Neonock anyway.
Yeah, so I haven't got anything else coming up other than fending off the new wave of attention. The last MathPig stream that I was on, I revealed that I was pan, and now MathPig cannot stop flirting with me. I have the Twitter DMs to prove it. Other than that,
Takes them all the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, it's not even taking it the wrong way. It's just reading it how you said it, but however.
Evening, kind sir, is not a flirt. You just want this.
But when you called me then a sexy beast, it's a little bit.
No, I said night sexy beast. Get it correct.
But whatever the point was, that was a quote that was in the thing. Anyway, point is,
Stephen, you love it.
Fucking does.
I kind of do. I won't lie. I go around to other people's streams just to boost the sex appeal. I don't really know why I'm here.
And it doesn't work on your channel though, so that's why I turn up.
Well, I was just going to say I don't really know why I'm here because I mean, look at all the sexy beasts that are in here right now. But anyway,
only me on camera. Are you flirting with me now, Stephen? Moving on, Dave. What have you got happening?
I was just about to say what I have coming up on my fucking channel. Jesus.
Stop flirting with me then. Go on ahead.
The next stream that I have is the stream where my co-host comes back after not being here for like 8 months. So that'll be a fun one. We get to figure out what the fuck he's been up to and stuff like that. So that's going to be next Saturday. This Saturday coming. So yeah, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. All that's it. Yeah.
Can I now introduce Dave? Is it okay?
Yes.
Thank you, Dave. Have you anything happening?
Critical questions tomorrow night.
Am I on critical questions tomorrow night?
You are not.
I'm on critical questions tomorrow night, and you know what? I do not have a problem with that at all. I'll watch. Be good fun. Nicola, this is the first time we've actually connected like this.
Yeah, this is the first time I've been on stream on any stream. I think.
Is it?
Oh man, I love popping cherries. It's great. Go on ahead.
I love you, pig.
What an odd statement.
I'm currently
popping stream cherry.
I've just republished a restoration of a piece that I put out in 17 about I was sedated for surgery for 9 days, and during that time I had I guess you would call it an NDE. I thought that I had died on the table and that I was in some sort of afterlife, and I wrote a script and a narrative that I recited. It's over on my YouTube channel, Thy Magus Nicola. Link in my Twitter bio. I can send you a link to it if you want, Pig, as well. The reason that I put it together was because I see a lot of people coming on to like Pat Robertson and 700 Club and those kinds of shows and talking about, oh yeah, I was asleep, or I laid down to take a nap, but I wasn't asleep, but I had a dream about, being in hell, and then Jesus Christ came and saved me. I have questions and doubts, and my recitation of my experience is intended to be sort of the beginning of a conversation about how seriously can we take those experiences, and should we? How can we determine the efficacy of that experience, and how can we examine it for its how can we tease out of it the information that is helpful, and how much should we hold ourselves back from making any bold claims? Like, in my dream, did I really talk to Jesus, or did I just have a dream that I talked to Jesus? Do you know what I mean?
Strength of personal testimony, like.
Yeah,
I'd definitely love to have you on some night and talk about that, man, if you're willing to, like.
I'd be happy to. I can send you a link to it. What I intend to do from here on my channel, though, the whole purpose of my channel is to talk about that experience, the moments that led up to it, and the series of videos that I have penned to begin working on are along the lines of how can we break this epistemologically? How can we examine it for efficacy? For what sociological value does it have? If a dream is just a dream, can we still learn something from it? And is it the thing? It may not even be a supernatural thing. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm working on these days.
Definitely.
I'd love to talk to you about it.
That sounds very cool.
Yeah, definitely. That's yeah. I want to poke that and go down that. Stephen, that was not to you. Calm down. Friday. This Friday is my birthday stream. It's technically the birthday on Sunday, but I'm going camping with the child on Sunday, so we can't do it on the Sunday. So we're going to do it on the Friday. Probably around 10 or 11 o'clock. It will run, I assume, for longer than this. It will be... Pardon?
Happy birthday!
Is anyone else streaming on Friday?
Pardon?
Is anyone else streaming on Friday?
Yes. What time are you going live at, MathPig?
What time are you going live at?
Well, are you going live later or earlier?
Well, I haven't scheduled it yet.
I usually go at about 10 o'clock, but I can go earlier.
If you go at 9, I'll go at 11. You go 1 hour early, yeah. I'll go 1 hour late. We'll meet in the middle.
Well, I only go for an hour and a half anyway.
Yeah, so that works out perfect. So you go 1 hour early, I'll go 1 hour late. Right, so the birthday stream's Friday at 11. We're going to steal half of Crafty's audience because that'll work out brilliantly as well. You can send everybody to come watch the Mankini. Sorry,
well,
you can come everybody to the birthday stream.
Who hasn't seen the Mankini thing? Who wants to see it?
Wait for the new one.
I've lost 1.5 stone since the last one, so I'm quite proud of myself. So a new and improved Mathkini, although I may have to get some safety pins to pin it up. Don't want it falling off my shoulder again, and Dave ending up with that twisted photo, which I'm going to have to turn off the thing so he changes his icon. But anyway, Dave's a twisted
Picturing a post-apocalyptic Sean Connery.
Sexier.
Right, listen. Why don't you actually ask a lady? Because they know how to make clothes stick on.
Double-sided sticky tape.
That's what Kaz said.
Yeah, so that's happening Friday. That'll be at 11 o'clock, right after Crafty stream. Fuck knows how long that shit'll go. It's going to be fun. Everybody is all non-trolls are welcome, except if you're a friendly troll. If we know you, then you're like Jimmy Rizzo. You're not allowed in. Sorry, Jimmy. Yeah, so that's going to happen. And anything else? I don't think we've anything else. No. Has anybody would like to make a closing statement on tonight's conversation, except for Stephen, who just popped in, and Crafty, who will disagree with everything we say? I'm going to ban her too. All the Irish are banned from talking. All the Irish are banned from talking. Would anybody else like to?
I've said what I had to say. I said what I had to say.
Yeah. Anybody else like to make a closing statement on what we said tonight? Apart from it was an absolute mess.
Critical thinking education is key.
Nicola.
No, it was a fun stream.
Really was a fun stream. I enjoyed this. See, told you I was right, Dave. Right, on that note, everybody, thank you very much for coming. Wonderful note to the Patreons and the members and all that bollocks. We have a wish list. Someone bought me my tent today off the wish list. Way, love you.
You had a tent on your wish list?
I'm going camping till Kilkenny. Where are you? You're in Dublin.
Unfortunately.
Maybe call. Yes.
You're aware it's going to piss down the entire weekend?
Is it?
Yeah. Thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
Well, we're going Monday, Tuesday. Well, we drive down Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday we're there.
Well, enjoy Kilkenny. I think by then the weather should have turned.
Do you know, in all honesty, I don't give two flying fucks because I have booked us onto a farm where Elena gets full access to the farm 24 hours a day and gets to go with a fucking farmer in the morning and feed baby goats with a milk bottle and collect fucking eggs and do all that sort of shit. So she's going to be in her glory. Every time you mention it, she busts your eardrums with screaming. So I want a kitty sleeping bag. She's getting a kitty sleeping bag. It's just, I don't give a fuck if it buckets. She'll be happy. That's all that matters.
Well, enjoy.
No, I probably won't. I deliberately told him I do not want a site with electric. He's like, would you like an electric port? Nope. Camping. Bringing my own barbecue I welded at work. Fuck that. Fucking right.
So you're not even going to charge your phone?
What? No, I can charge my phone off the car. I don't need a laptop. I don't need fuck all else. It's just going to be 3 or 4 days. Just like, bye. It's me and Elena. Yep. That's it. It's all that matters.
You'll be wanting to stream by the second day.
Pardon?
No, I'd agree with you.
You wanted to stream by the second day?
No.
If you're going to go camping, do it properly.
Do it fucking...
I agree with MathPig.
Yeah. That's it. I can charge my phone. What else do I need to be in a chat every now and again for a couple hours at night before I go to bed? What the fuck else do you need, you know? Been with the child all day, I'm a little stressed. I'll have myself a can of Campbell's soup and I'll just relax and, you know, chatting some chats and away on. That's it. Love you, Stephen.
Yeah.
He wasn't even listening, was he?
I was. I heard I was kind of drifting in and out, but as soon as I heard the Campbell's soup, it was like, right, well, yeah, I know. Yeah.
On that note, yeah, next week there won't be much between Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday. It'll be because I'm on holiday. Fuck yous all. No internet, no electric. Best way to be every now and again. So, yay. Yeah, bye.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Bye.
I have to go, but yeah, it was a great stream. Thanks for inviting me.